When you lose data on your computer, hope goes out the window too, and it can be devastating.
In this week's Compute This, how Schrock Innovations can help. It's one of the most advanced data recovery centers in the Midwest.
Thor Schrock is the owner. Welcome back, Thor.
Hey
Great
guys,
to have
how's
you
it
here.
going?
And I thought this was interesting because as Peter Fink, as you guys were crossing paths,
Yes.
he stopped you and asked you a question about
Hard
his
drive.
computer, and you seem to think it's his hard drive that could be failing, and that's exactly what we're talking about. What causes these hard drives to fail?
All right, well, first of all, we're used to devices in our lives that just work. You get in your car, you turn the key, you expect it to work. You go put the laundry in the washer, you turn it on, you expect it to work. You turn on your computer, you expect it to work. The thing is with hard drives are, think about it like a record player. There's spinning discs inside and there's an arm, and instead of one needle, it's like this, and there's a platter between each of your fingers, and there's a needle on the top and the bottom that reads data. If any one of those things stops working, or gets bent, or drops down and touches the disk, the hard drive can stop working. Now, when we order in hard drives, when we build our computers, our modular PCs, we have to test every hard drive that comes in, brand new, sealed in a factory bag, because 10% of them are either defective or slightly defective when we get them.
Do other people do that, like big makers? of
Yes and no. We
computers?
see once in a while, we'll see a new computer come in with a bad hard drive, and once in a while we'll have a hard drive that we test and test perfect, and we send it out the door. It comes back a week later as bad.
Yeah.
With hard drives, when you have a computer's hard drive, it's either going to fail in the first year, or usually it'll go 3 years before you have a problem. After 3 years, everything goes up in the air. And hard drives have a little status indicator called a SMART status indicator. It's an acronym. And what it tells you is that your hard drive's having problems and it might be time to replace it. Well, what major manufacturers do is they disable the SMART notification, because even if your hard drive starts going bad, this first time you turn on the computer, you might get a whole year before you start seeing freeze-ups and lock-ups and data disappearing, and by then you're out of your warranty.
Wow. Well, and I think about it, if I've been using that computer for 3 years, I've got some precious stuff stored on that computer, and it's all living on the hard drive.
Absolutely. So with laptops, biggest challenge there is bouncing them, removing them when they're spinning, when they're running. You want to avoid dropping it on a table. You want to avoid, having it slide off the arm of the couch while it's running. Those are all events that will cause a hard drive to fail. The newer hard drives that you see in like the MacBook Airs, and I just got a new Asus Ultrabook, new toy for me. Nice. I don't feel so good today. I think I might have to stay home from work. But
You can play with the new toy.
Yeah,
When
exactly.
when you own work, I think you're allowed
I
to do
have
that.
to. It's my responsibility to buy the latest technology, just so I know it for you. But it has a solid-state hard drive in it, and so it has no moving parts, but they still can fail. The challenge with solid-state drives is when they fail, they are incredibly difficult to get data back off of. You really want to make sure if you have like a MacBook Air or an Ultrabook or anything with a solid-state hard drive, make sure you're doing a regular backup.
Regular, once a week? What do you think?
I do mine once a week, and I pump a lot of data through my machines, and I do one about once a week.
What about the average person? Because I think you're an exceptional case.
Well, in some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. Thank you for calling me
Okay.
exceptional. I appreciate that. But honestly, weekly is usually a good idea.
Wow.
And the neat thing about Windows 7 is you can set it, you hook up an external hard drive and just set it behind the computer. Forget it's there. Don't put it somewhere where it'll fall down or the cat's going to pull it off the table. Because remember how laptops, if you drop them when they're running, you drop an external hard drive when it's running, and we see this all the time. People grab an external hard drive and they save their data on it because they think it's safer, because they can pick it up and hold it in their hands. I have my data. It's not lost in this computer down here. I've got it right here. Well, the fact that that hard drive can be picked up and moved and tumbled about easily makes it riskier than having it inside the computer.
Vulnerable to some of
So
that
it's
damage.
great to have those for backups. You do not want to use them for primary storage.
So let's paint a worst case picture here.
Okay.
My hard drive's crashed. I've got baby pictures and precious home videos from my grandmother's birthday party there, and I'm devastated that I'm never going to get that back.
Okay.
What is different about what you do compared to some of the other data recovery centers that you're heads and shoulders above others? How successful can you be with recovery?
Sure. We have about a 96% recovery rate on whatever device you give us, whether it's a hard drive, a flash card, like one of those flash sticks. We can recover data off those. We can actually take the chip off. We have a chip reader. We can put the chip in. So even if the stick is snapped in half, we can take that chip and get the data off of it. But basically, when in a situation like that, when you have a hard drive that's completely crashed, you turn it on, it clicks, or the computer just says hard drive not found. We have over 2,000 donor hard drives in stock in our service center because you have to match the drive precisely for donor parts. We test the drive, find out what parts are bad in the drive. We actually have a Class 100 clean environment where we can take the drive apart, take the parts out, put the donor parts in, put it back together, and then image the hard drive to a good, solid hard drive. You know, once you do a data recovery on a drive, you never want to trust the drive again, because whenever you get a human in there monkeying around with it, you know, we're jimmy rigging it so it'll work long enough, not so you can put it back in the computer and continue
just to
using
get
it.
everything off that hard drive.
Exactly.
So when it comes to PCs, Macs, you can recover that data. Are there any other devices out there that you work with, maybe tablets or phones?
Oh yeah, we've done recoveries from iPods. You remember all the first generation iPods where they said people would put them and start running, and then Apple had to put out a warning: don't run, you know, or jolt this while it's running, because it has a mini 2.5-inch hard drive.
Everybody
inside.
said that's all I'm doing with it. Wait a minute, that's why
so
I
then
bought it.
They came out with the Nano and all this other stuff that doesn't have a hard drive. We've recovered from iPods, we've recovered from iPhones, we've recovered data from tablets. One of the things that people don't think about, like, you know, I got a new Ultrabook, right? So I've got my old Dell 14-inch laptop. Great open box item, by the way.
Available for
sale, used by Thor Schrock himself, but and my son from time to time. But basically, you know, this computer that I have to get rid of now, it's not enough just to run the recovery partition on it. I mean, you've got to zero the hard drive out. Otherwise, as soon as I sell that on Craigslist, if you sell your old iPad on Craigslist or tablet or phone, all the data that was ever on it can very easily be recovered.
Real quick, what cost to recover some of this data? Because I've sent mine into one of the big name manufacturers, and it's hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Try thousands and thousands of dollars.
We paid a lot, but what was on that computer was priceless, so you justify it.
And that's part of the challenge. When you send it to a data recovery company, the dirty secret of data recovery is when you talk to them on the phone and describe the problem, they're going to give you a percentage recovery rate. It'll be, you know, 50, 75, 80, somewhere, a nice round number. And then when they get it, to know they can get the data, they have to do the recovery first. You can't tell people, yes, we can get the data, and then here's what it'll cost, you pay us, and then we'll do the recovery. They've got the recovery done. So do we. If we call you and say, yes, we can get the data, we have the data. It's there. Now, the difference between Schrock Innovations and like a Drive Savers or a Data Hounds or a lot of the other places where you would send the drive away, first of all, your hard drive never leaves our Omaha Service Center. It stays in Nebraska. It's worked on by 1 or 2 data recovery engineers, not a whole team. Your data is safe and secure. The second thing is cost. I mean, if you send a drive off for recovery to Colorado or California, the entry-level cost just for a basic problem is about $1,300. At Schrock Innovations, when someone drops a drive off for recovery, the only thing we tell them is the recovery cost starts at about $400. If you're not prepared to pay $400, don't even leave the drive, because that's the entry-level price for, we reprogrammed the boards and the chips on it, and now we can get the data. If we have to do donor parts, there's a slight charge for the donor parts, but very rarely do the recoveries exceed $1,000.
Wow.
So it's, you know, for businesses, it can be a little more expensive if it's a RAID recovery, like if you have 5 hard drives all linked together.
But for the average computer that you're
using
at home,
for the average computer, $400 to $800 is usually the norm for us.
And that's
about half price.
An easier pill to swallow than $1,300 to $3,500.
And you don't have to ship it anywhere.
Right, which was
right here in
part of the cost for us too, because we insured the living daylights out of that thing, and that cost.
Schrock Innovations, they've got locations around the metro and in Lincoln. There's 27th and Pine Lake Road in Lincoln, Village Point, and then again in Papillion.
370. Thank you, Thor, for being here. I think this is a great subject that a lot of us can benefit from.
There's a lot of people, if you've had a computer, you've lost data at some point.
And Peter Fink doesn't want to lose his pictures on his computer, so I know you're going to be seeing him real soon.
The most important thing to remember is if your hard drive crashes, stop trying to use it. Don't continue to try, because the more you try, the more damage you're doing.
Exactly. Thor, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. So are you nearing 3 months or 3,000 miles?
Coming up, how getting your oil changed supports the Muscular Dystrophy Association and local families.
I do that.